All right, so last week I did a story about the violence that has been prevalent in Goldsboro, North Carolina, and I referenced a particular story that happened sometimes last week. Let me get the correct date. It was on January the 10th, and this shooting had occurred in what is called now the Grand at Day Point. It was once called Green Acres, and more commonly known as the Jungle. It's one of the housing areas in Goldsboro, North Carolina. So this shooting happened in broad daylight, January the 10th, at about 4 o'clock p.m. And the police were called, and there was a couple of videos circulating on the internet, on Facebook, of the police apprehending one of the shooters in the next apartment complex over, which is called Seymour Johnson, which is also a housing area. And during the time, they arrested him. There was a lot of police and sheriffs out there looking for him. So I guess after him and the other guys perpetrated the shooting, they ran to the next block, to the next housing projects, and that's where they eventually were caught. So a video was surfacing of the police bringing the young man out of a house in handcuffs, and I think they caught the other 3 young men around that same town. Now, after the incident, after I did the video, I got a couple of calls from some people who gave me some inside details on the situation, but I won't go into the situation out of respect for them and their request for me not to really give those type of details. But I do want to pinpoint one aspect of the shooting and how dangerous it is when these things are going on. Bullets have no names, and bullets, there's no telling the trajectory and how far these bullets can travel. Now, the picture that you see on the thumbnail is a vehicle that got struck by one of those bullets that was at least a mile or 2 away from the scene of the shooting. Ironically, the owner of the vehicle that got struck, I ran into him last night. He is actually a firefighter who was on the scene in an unrelated call when the gentleman was arrested by the police. Now, according to him, they were called, for someone having chest pains or whatever. So they went out there to that location, and in the midst of that, the shots had already been fired. So the police was on the scene looking for the shooter in the unrelated incident. Nevertheless, the individual tells me that he goes back to the fire station, and he gets into his car the next morning. Firemen, they work 24-hour shifts, so he was driving off the next morning and noticed that his back window wasn't unfogging, and he didn't realize that it wasn't fog on his back window. It was actually the glass that was shattered. And I don't know if you guys can see it. There's the vehicle there. The glass that was shattered from the bullet that was apparently and evidently fired from a mile or 2 away in the housing projects. Now, how could this be possible, you ask? Now, if you're familiar with Goldsboro, there's a fire station right on the corner of, I think, Poplar and Harris Street. Now, there's also a wooded area behind, Harris Street, you would say, behind the fire station. And if you go through that wooded area, you will end up in the housing area where the gunshots taking place. Now, anybody knows who is from the jungle or has lived in the jungle throughout time, you know that there's a pathway that you can take from the jungle and end up on Harris Street. Everybody knows that. So, the shooting happened in the 1700 block of Day Circle, or the 1700 building. Now, once again, if you're familiar with the jungle, the 1700 building is in the back of the jungle, right by the woods. Like if you leave the 1700 building, you can walk right to the woods and take the trek on around to Harris Street, where you would come out by the fire station. So that seemed just so ironic to me that this gentleman, I ran in last night, and there's a closer shot of his window where the bullet hit. Now, and if you see the building in the background, that is the fire station. So he was parked at the fire station, and apparently, because there's no other way to explain it, one of the bullets from the gunfire of the incident in 1700 block of Day Circle traveled all the way over the river, I guess, and through the woods, enough to hit this car, and the bullet didn't go through the car, and that's explanatory, because after that long distance of travel, the bullet undoubtedly lost some velocity. So the fireman, which is my boy, he said he wouldn't care if I mention his name. My boy Twin, shout out to Twin. But he said that he put the incident, or he put his vehicle, the picture of his vehicle, in a group chat that he had with his fellow firefighters. And one of his fellow firefighters showed him this picture. Now, the picture that you see right there is, you see, it is a fragmented bullet. And I don't know, all of you gun enthusiasts can tell me what that kind of bullet that is. But he said that he found this bullet in the parking lot of the fire station the same day as the shooting. So right now we can put two and two together. Here's a bullet that was found in the parking lot. There is a vehicle that was struck, undoubtedly, like you can tell, you can't, anybody has ever seen bullet holes, I have, that is the size and the impact of a bullet, even though it didn't go through the window. There's another angle of it. But I would venture to believe that that bullet is from the same, gunfire or hail of gunfire that was let off in what we call the jungle. So that should hopefully give, some of the young guys that's out there playing with these guns and, participating in these such actions. I hope this gives these guys some sort of cautionary warning of how dangerous and how unknowingly their actions could possibly end the life of someone who is totally innocent. Fortunately, that bullet didn't hit anybody, but that is just a warning sign of, what could have been. What if that bullet would have hit some stray child walking down Harris Street, maybe. You never know. Bullets have no names, and the trigger, as Scarface said, has no heart. So, there's definitely, something that needs to be done by this action. But I just thought that was very ironic that a firefighter who was called to the scene, not of that particular incident, but where that incident was occurring, goes back to get in his vehicle the next morning and notices that his vehicle has been shot by the um, same bullets that he was out and saw the young man get arrested for. So once again, I wish I could go into the details of that shooting, which is so once again outrageous. It just shows the heartlessness of some of these young guys out there. But once again, out of respect for the person who gave me the details and requested me not to share them, then I will not. But yeah, man, it's terrible out there that people are, shooting in broad daylight, and it just seemed to be no end in sight. So fortunately, or hopefully, this war, I wouldn't even call it a war. It's just a senseless genocide or fratricide. Now, anybody knows about a fraternity, that's a brotherly organization, but this is fratricide, where brothers are killing brothers. Friends are killing friends. Family members are killing family members. All of these kids probably, no doubtedly, went to North Drive and Carver Heights and elementary school together. Undoubtedly. Goldsboro is not that big. It's not like, you went to this school and didn't know anybody. Like you can be in, like I stayed in Virginia Beach, was a very large town of 2 million people, and people, that it has 8 or 9, 12 high schools, and 40 or so middle schools and things like that. So you may run into an individual that you don't know, but most of these kids undoubtedly know each other or know somebody who knows somebody that they know. So this is senseless in that regard of the manner that is being done. But I thank God that no one was hurt. Well, actually, someone was hurt in that shooting, but no one lost their lives. So this is Richard Taylor again. Y'all chime in the comments. My number is again 919-587-7782. You can call me, reach out to me if you have any information on this or other stories, or if you just see something that needs to be covered, you can hit me up. Peace and blessings.